Can watch or share with others. Got it. Okay. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. And
okay.
So are we ready? It is streaming now? Yeah, I see it right now. Yep.
Yep. It's streaming now. Awesome. Well, hey everyone. Welcome to our live stream. I'm sorry, this is the first time that I've done it through this platform, so we're kind of getting ourselves set up here. I'll just close that. So today, I'm actually really excited, Chris. I don't know about you, because today we're actually going to be talking about powering up, because we've hit 2023. Happy New Year, everyone. It's so great to have you all here ready to get started with this amazing year that we've got ahead of us. It's a year that's going to be one of transformation. It's going to be one of change. And it's one that I think, I kind of classify as being one about powering up and really becoming that best version of yourself. What about you, Chris? What does 2023 mean to you?
Well, I think 2023 is the year to really that you come into your own, that you make this year about you, not in a selfish way, but in a way that when you become more, to become more, you can be a better example and better resource for others to do the same. So you are helping somebody. You're helping your spouse, your partner, your kids, your family, your neighbors, your community, your business, people you work with, people who work for you, whatever. But you got to make this year about you. And this is an ideal time for that to happen.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, 2022, and I know personally in my area for years and years, and we've spoken about this, about codependency and putting other people ahead of yourself. And being a mum, that just kind of comes naturally a lot of the time. So 2022, that was when I started to power up. My kids are actually 18 and 20 now, so they're kind of independent, and it was kind of time for me to say, okay, well, that's time for me now. It's time for me to put myself first, and it's time for me to be able to be as valuable as I can to not only other people, but to myself, to recognize my self-worth, to understand what my value was. And it's not easy for us to figure this out. Sometimes, things happen in life that may just kind of like trip you up, because it's supposed to, because that's what life's about. It's about learning, and it's about pushing through those struggles that we go through. And every time we push through one thing after another, it amps us up a little bit more. It says, you know what, you are strong enough to do this. You know what, you are strong enough to overcome this. And you can achieve anything that you want in life if you just believe in yourself, and you don't allow other people to dictate what your life is supposed to be like. And Chris, I love your five principles of doing this. So if you want to go through that, because it is really about how we not worry, but how we focus on ourselves rather than focusing on everybody else. So what are those principles of yours?
Well, again, it's learning how to control what you can, let go of what you can't. So a lot of times as people, we get caught up in the control we can't control. A lot of people get controlled by the media, what's happening in the world, another catastrophe, another uprising, another war, another shooting, another whatever. And we get caught up in all that. We can't control that. So why do we get caught up in it? We can't control the weather. We can't control taxes, the economy. So why do we get caught up in it? We can't control other things too that I'm going to talk about here soon. So there are 5 things that you can control each and every day as an individual. That number 1 is the communication to yourself and others. How do you communicate to yourself each and every morning? Are you communicating from a place of your inner critic or your inner champion? How you communicate to yourself will dictate not only how you're going to communicate to another person in a healthy way, but it'll also determine your confidence level over a long period of time. So if you're communicating from your inner critic from a place of lack, or you're not good enough, then that's how it's going to come across in your communication to other people. It's going to come across in a very codependent way, from a passive or an aggressive style of communication, which I'll explain here shortly. Then there's going to be an inner champion, where you're speaking from a place of abundance. You're being very specific, clear, and concise to yourself. You understand your strengths, you understand your weaknesses, and you speak the truth from where you are right now, not caught up what people are going to think. Now, I know it's easy to say and to do as another, but by doing it each and every day, when you do that, you'll begin to shift towards more interdependent type of communication, again, which I'll explain here shortly, which will be healthier with other people. Now, when we are codependent in our communication with other people, we're passive. Passive means we are people pleasers. We say yes to everything. And we all know what happens with people pleasers. I was there many years ago. You become defeated, exhausted, and it's just, you're never going to be enough for whatever the situation is. And when we're aggressive, a lot of times those could be perfectionists. We place high expectations on other people, including ourselves, and it's just never good enough. Nobody can do it better than you. And even sometimes, more or less, you can't even trust yourself, because you're not going to do it good enough. So again, it leads to more frustration, worry, anxiety, and so on. But when we can be specific, clear, and concise with ourselves and other people, we can be assertive rather than passive aggressive. And by doing that, that's going to be a healthier form of communication. Number two, we can control our behavior. Our behavior is the same way. It's either passive aggressive, both, or assertive. How are we shifting away from passive aggressive or both to assertive behavior? That's matching or aligned with our communication. Number three, we can control our attitude. It's happening for you, not to you. Whatever you're going through, challenges are a good thing. They're setting you up to become, so you can do and have different, better results. You can't grow or move forward without embracing challenges. What's your attitude? You can choose that. Number four is emotions. How are we responding versus reacting to situations? When a situation from fear triggers that anxiety or that stress or that, we can react in that moment. But instead of reacting, we can first pause and say, okay, I'm not feeling good about this. I'm upset, or I'm angry, or I'm frustrated. But instead of reacting to it, we can pause and then respond from a secondary emotion, from a positive emotion. Now, you don't have to respond right away. Even if it requires you have to step away for 10 minutes. Maybe you have to go sleep on it before you send that email in the morning, or before you then respond to that person or people. So it's knowing how to respond versus react to stressful or fearful situations or challenging situations. And number five is your level of action. When you can learn to control those five things every day, and learn to let go of the same five things, those same five, in other people, that's where the magic happens over time. But as
it does, because
we get caught up in the things we can't control.
Yeah, exactly. And we worry so much about, what somebody else thinks about us, or, how somebody else perceives us, or what somebody else is doing. How many times do we worry about what other people are doing, when really we need to be focusing on what we're doing and the value that we're offering? And, and I know as you talk about, responding rather than reacting, that is such an important point, because we are such a reactive species, where everything's like, something happens, we don't like it, we don't actually tune into our emotions enough. And so we'll just, all of a sudden, we'll just blurt out whatever comes to our mind. And there's always consequences to everything you do. There's a consequence to it. So if we say something, we can't always take it back. And I know as a mum, the amount of times that I've just gone, okay, I'm going to take myself into the room for 10 or 15 minutes and just calm down and just figure out how I can respond to this rather than react to it. I'm no saint, so yes, I have reacted many times, as you probably understand too, Chris, being a parent. But it's really about going, well, I need to recenter myself first before I respond to this situation. And if we recognize these contrasting moments that we go through, these challenges that we go through are just amping us up one step further to being able to deal with the next situation that arises, the next thing that comes in front of us. Because like Chris said, if we were never faced with challenges, then we're never going to grow. We're never going to expand, and life would be pretty boring because you'd be doing the same thing every day. So I think that's really good points, Chris. And so what can we give the people here to let them know how maybe in 2023 we can get to that place where we're not worried about other people. We're not worried about how they perceive us, because I believe that probably the moment I felt most powerful was when I let go of all of those things that you just mentioned. When I finally said, that is none of my business. What's my business is what's going on with me. That's it. And that's when I powered up. So how can we let our listeners know how they can do that?
Well, it starts with awareness first, just like how we're sharing here. But here's the thing that I'd like to stress, what's very important. While awareness is important because it first plants the seed that, hey, if I'm looking to change my life or change my business or change something more importantly about me, because I have to change in order for things around me to change. Things are going to change regardless. But if I'm not changing, then the things that I'm looking to change that will improve my life and my business are not going to change.
They're not going to.
You change. So while awareness is very important, like we're sharing here, what's even more important is now, what do you do with it to now apply it? Now, it's easy to say, hey, I just heard Chris and Jennifer talk about this, and this is awesome. I'm going to start today. And then tomorrow you'll wake up and something will happen. You'll react to it and you'll forget everything that was said, because that's just what happens with people, because it's not, you're operating out of default. You're not, this is all maybe brand new to you. It sounded great yesterday, but now today's here and it's like, well, I forgot it. So the key here is now is to take the awareness and now say to myself, how do I now not only learn more about it, but more importantly, how do I get plugged in to apply it every day? Not once in a while, not that like, hey, I'll go back and listen to Jennifer and Chris talk in a couple of months and I'll get pumped up again. No, that stuff doesn't work. You got to
become a habit
and plug in and commit to doing it in order for it to start to embed at a subconscious level over time.
Yeah, totally. And you have to do it, like Chris said, daily, because then it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, and I know meditation for me is so critical first thing in the morning, because that's when I recenter myself. So basically, after I wake up at about 5 o'clock, something like that, I go outside and I ground myself outside on the earth. And I think this is probably one of I water the garden at the same time, but I think this is one of the most powerful things for me, because it allows me to realign my chakras, it allows me to realign how I am for that day. And then I go into a meditation where I'm able to then recenter myself and make sure that when I'm first thing in the morning, that my vibrations are high. Because if we go into the morning and we're already reactive, then what happens when the kids come out and all of a sudden they're fighting and all of a sudden they're screaming and they don't want to dress themselves or whatever it is, and the first thing you do is you react. You haven't given yourself that time, that really critical, important time to be able to recenter yourself. And the same can be said for us entrepreneurs out there, because we always get things that challenge us. So there might be an email that comes in that you're not happy with or whatever. But if you do not recenter yourself first, then it's going to be difficult and you're probably going to react to it in a way that you don't really want to react to it. So like Chris said, you need to get into that habit of, and I think it's about reminding yourself every minute of every day. And if you start to maybe pass judgment on somebody else, or you start to start getting that worried feeling about what somebody else is thinking of you, then think about what we've just said and go, okay, this is not about me. This is about them. And I need to refocus on what I can control, because there's so much in this world that is out of our control. But the one thing that we can control is what we do, what we think, and what we say. And so this is why, what we say is so critical too, because once it's out, you can't take it back. So reacting to a situation without first thinking about it, and I've been guilty of it, and I've where I've said something, I've gone, oh, why did I do that? But if you get into the habit of thinking first, just give yourself a couple of minutes. And, somebody, as a reformed people pleaser, I always say, if you are in that space of codependency, as opposed to the independency and interdependency that Chris is going to go through, if you are one of those people pleasers, it's really important, if somebody asks you to do something and you're not really sure whether you should or not, part of powering up is giving you that space, giving yourself that space and that time, and say, look, I'll have to get back to you in 24 hours. I'll have to think about that and get back to you, because that lets them know, okay, well, she's not on my beck and call all the time. So, but she is going to take the time to think about it. So it's really important, as you power up in 2023, that we start to look at this sort of stuff and go, okay, I'm valuable and I'm worthy, and my time is valuable, and there has to be a reciprocation in relationships. We know that relationships are two-sided, right, Chris? If it's one-sided, it's never going to work. So you need to look at those relationships. And I think in 2023, it's really a time for us to really observe our relationships around us and really observe those that are actually going to help to lift you and help you to power up and help you to really become that best version of yourself, and those that aren't. And those that aren't, it's time to let go, because they're not there to, they may be there to teach you a lesson. We have people come into our lives all the time that are not supposed to be there permanently. They're there to teach you a lesson. They're there to help you to grow and expand. But you need to be around people that are going to be, are going to want to lift you up just as you want to lift them up. I mean, what's that saying? You are the result of the 5 people that you're around the most. So, and that's why things like masterminds are so powerful. And that's why things like group coaching packages are so powerful, because you have people that are in the same mindset as what you are, that have the same vision that you do. And this is why it's so important to invest in yourself. It's so important to get to that place of even just finding a few people that you can trust and that are on the same page as you, that are wanting to lift you up, that you are wanting to lift them up, because that I think is a really big part of powering up. What do you reckon, Chris?
No, it's so true. And again, this is a process, and that process starts with you. You have to be able to show up. You have to come in to be open-minded. You have to be coachable, and to know that each day you're going to learn something. There are going to be setbacks. You might go back 3-4 steps in order to go forward 8 steps. So again, the awareness is really important here, but unless what Jennifer was talking about, unless that, again, you're doing these things on a day-to-day basis, you don't have to know everything. Just like you can only control what you can control. Control. It's the same thing. You don't have to know everything. You start with what you have and what you know, and take each day at a time. It's in the moment. And absolutely, that's the thing.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, Lorena is on the chat right now. Thank you so much for joining here. She's absolutely incredible. I absolutely love her. So thank you for being here. And she said that it's very good. So she's really enjoying the content, which is amazing. Now, I just want to, as I moved into 2023, like 2022 was an amazing year, but I felt that 2022 was a year of growth. It was a year of figuring out what you wanted to do. It was a year of coming into your own. But I think 2023 is the year that we put it all into practice, and we finally know what we're wanting to do. We finally know that, what our path is. We're letting go of that which is not helping us, that is just hindering. And it doesn't just have to be people either. Part of powering up is going, okay, what is in my life at the moment that is not serving me? Okay, am I eating foods that are not serving me? Am I eating foods that are causing me to feel sluggish, that are causing me to lack in energy, that are causing me to not be my best quality? Am I exercising sufficiently so that I've got the energy to be able to do what I'm wanting to do? What are my belief systems like? Are there toxic beliefs that are holding me back? Are there beliefs that I haven't dealt with? Is there past trauma that I haven't dealt with that I have to sort through? There's so much that I think in 2023, we have the opportunity to totally transform ourselves. We have the opportunity to go from that person that was amazing, because you're all amazing. Everybody's amazing. But to go to that place where you recognize it. Okay, you've got people telling you all the time, but you just go, what do they see in me? Why do they think that I'm so amazing? Well, because you are. And it's this year is the year that we're going to start to transform that. And Chris and I, we are so excited. We've actually put together some incredible programs, which is a transformational package. It's a transformational program that takes you through every aspect of your life, from relationships, which is a big factor in our lives. But I think it's not just relationships with other people, it's that relationship with yourself. And like Chris did mention before, that it's what's on the inside is what you're going to see on the outside. And it's about our inner world. It's about how we feel about ourselves. It's really about that self-worth. And so our programs will help you to build that self-worth, build that confidence, figure out who you are, figure out what your identity is, especially if you've been in codependent type relationships. Then sometimes you can lose that identity. So we help you to figure out that identity. We help you all the way from your spirituality all the way up to actually building and putting that value out there, because you've all got value within you. Every single one of you has got value within you. And it's figuring out what that value is. It's figuring out, what am I meant to be doing? What is my purpose? What am I here for? And how can I add value to the world? How can I bring in the wealth and the abundance that I'm wanting to bring in so that I can add even more value to the world? And so Chris and I, we have got an incredible package. We've got the introductory version is already up on the Superconscious Success Academy side at the moment. And that is the beginner's version, but it takes you through all of those different areas. It is absolutely incredible. And for the month of January, it's actually 50% off. So now is a great time to get that. And then in March, we're going to have the full package ready and raring to go, which we are super excited about, because this year it's about transformation. It's about you understanding who you are. It's about you powering up and becoming that best version of yourself that we know, don't we, Chris? We know they're capable of.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's you don't have to go about this alone. That's the thing. But at the same token, you have to make the decision. Is this the year you're going to change, truly change? I'm just going to be frank. I'm always straightforward, but I do this in a way of sharing versus telling. But I've just learned through my experience that when I was always searching for a solution outside of me, while there was great opinions, great insights, great services, great products, those in itself weren't going to change or make the complete difference in where I was and where I desired to be. Unless I decided to do that myself and to focus on what I can control and then use those resources as ways to complement that, different story. Yeah. But if I was going to change from where I was to where I desire to be, I had to choose that today and then commit to the process of doing the things that I had to do to make that shift. So the question is, do you want to be the change? And are you willing to commit? Because here's the thing, there's no easy road. I'm not saying this has to be hard, because you're only going to make it hard from the way you perceive it and your attitude towards it. If you see it happening for you, even if you go through a challenge, you'll see it as an experience that you'll never forget. So it's just a matter, you got to change. It's a change in your thinking that I found.
Change your perception. Yeah, totally. Change your perception as to how you see these things that pop up. Change how you perceive it. Is this challenge working against me? Are we in a victim mindset where, we feel like everything's just against us? Or are we in this place where, oh, wow, that was thrown at me. It's okay. I got through it. I know that nothing's going to be thrown at me that I can't deal with, for starters, because you can power up, you can be strong enough, you can get through it, and then perceive it in a different way. We don't perceive it from the place of victim, we perceive it from the place of victor. And we start to recognize that by doing that, I'm actually excited. All the different things that come along to me now, I've gotten to that place, and it's been a hard slog. It's been years of inner work that, it took years to get to the place where I went, you know what, I think I'm pretty comfortable with how I am feeling internally. And I think that it just takes, like Chris says, it just takes you making that choice and saying, you know what, I'm worthy of it and I need to make a change. I'm not happy with where I am right now, because the only person that's going to change where you are right now is you. Nobody else can do it for you. But you are capable of it and you are worthy of it. And so make that choice. If you are not happy with where you are right now, make that choice. Change your perception of how you see things. Look at it as an experience that's going to help you to grow and expand. And the more you deal with things internally, then the more you're going to have a lot of other amazing abundance come to you, because that's where it's all from. It's all from that internal place. So wow, I think 2023 is going to be incredible. I think it's a year of true change, and we would love to have you on the journey with us. If that's something that resonates with you, go across to superconscioussuccessacademy.com. You'll find a whole heap of different courses and programs, but our 9 ATP for beginners program is incredible. And we are so excited about putting it. It's even got like the most amazing workbook there with literally activities for every module and lots of stuff that's going to allow you to really dig deep into the different areas that we're going to cover. We're going to help you change your belief systems. We're going to help you figure out your values. We're going to help you deal with that inner part of you, that inner child, help you build that self-worth. There's so much we're going to cover. So if you're interested, head across to the Academy. It is incredible. And also, if you sign up for the Superconscious Success Inner Circle, you'll also get discounts and all sorts of things in there just by going to superconscioussuccess.com. That is a free Inner Circle membership, and lots of value there too. So, Chris, I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope people got a lot of value out of how they can start to power up in 2023. We are going to make these lives a weekly event, and we would love people to be able to join us on. Did you want to make it about the same time, Chris?
Yeah, that's fine. That will work. Sure.
Yep. So 8:30 a.m. on a Sunday.
And Sunday for US, yes.
Yeah, Sunday Eastern Standard Times in the US, 8:30 a.m. So in Perth time where I am, it's 9:30 p.m. So, but we're going to make it a weekly thing. We would love you to join us and ask questions and interact, because we love that interaction. We're more than happy to answer questions that you may have regarding the different areas. Go look at the 9ATP program in the Academy. Check it out. If it resonates with you, great. But at least it gives you an idea as to the sort of things we cover. So when you come to the live next week, you've got some really awesome questions that you can ask us that we're going to help you work through. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much, Chris. I've thoroughly enjoyed yet another live, and we will catch up next week.
That sounds great.